Charlottesville residents and visitors singing to resist white supremacy. We shall overcome.
We'll walk hand in hand. We're not afraid today. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid today. We will live in peace. We will live in peace. We will live in peace. We will live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace someday. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Peace to y'all.
A.D. Carson stepping on the mic.
My name is A.D. Carson. I just moved to Charlottesville. Actually, I arrived here May 15th.
Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be starting in the fall in the music department at the University of Virginia as a professor of hip hop. Appreciate Walt asking me to come out here to share some words. And so I think that Dr. Bellamy said somebody told a lie one day, and I think that this has something to do with that. Feels like those folks who are here mourning something, a death of America, or an America they envision. It kind of makes me think this Ralph Ellison, an Invisible Man, says, you're constantly being bumped against by those of poor vision. Or again, you often doubt if you really exist. You wonder whether you aren't simply a phantom in other people's minds, say, a figure in a nightmare which the sleeper tries with all his strength to destroy. It's when you feel like this that out of resentment you begin to bump people back. He says later, I remember that I'm invisible and walk softly so as not to awaken the sleeping ones. Sometimes it's best not to awaken them. There are few things in this world as dangerous as sleepwalkers. I learned in time, though, that it's possible to carry on a fight against them without their realizing it. So as I wrote this piece, I was also thinking about James Baldwin's Fire Next Time. She takes from a hymn. It says God gave Noah the rainbow sign. No more water, the fire next time. This poem is called Good Morning, America. This is the next time. Prepare for fire. The grotesque fantasy of the shrinking so-called majority, America's nightmare, is slowly transitioning from somnolent slumber to a waking state akin to sleepwalking. America, for as long as it has existed, openly endorsed terror and rode the wave of fear that followed to superpower dominance domestically and abroad. To be clear, when I say America, I mean white America. The America America sees, wants to see. Not the real America, but the ideal America. The America that stated all men are created equal while enslaving men and women who legally counted 2/5 less than their American masters. America, the beautiful, who crowns her good with brotherhood, but from sea to shining sea, shoots down and locks up young black boys and girls, men and women, with impunity. This is the next time. Prepare for fire. America's nightmare is America waking up. Good morning, America says. Good morning, America says. Good morning, America says good. Morning, America says you're a true patriot. Don't let America die. Don't let America's death be in vain. Fight for America. This is good morning. The black and brown bruises on the American body must be cut off, must be amputated, or risk infection spreading. Sleep, America. This is an age-old procedure, perfected, or inject local anesthetic, remove, bruise, move, repeat procedure, or just sleep. It'll be all over when you wake up. This is the next time. Prepare for fire. This is America burning. This is America learning this is no nightmare. This is America waking up, realizing its bruises have not been removed, may not be removable, and trying to remove these imperfections or risk infection spreading. This black becoming blacker, this brown becoming more, this body belonging to this mind that has perfected seeing itself as pristine. This is America operating, white America cutting into her native skin, excising what does not belong, what she does not want to see. Cut deeper, cut to the white. It burns, but it's worth burning. Not seeing it must be worth the price. This is America screaming, this is America waking up. This is the next time. Prepare for fire. The remains will be black. This is America on the brink of break, ever aware of a two-ness of which there is a constitutional greater and lesser, necessary evils that history won't heal and Hennessy won't help, darkness and lightness created in the likeness of white God and white Jesus, who would rather see white America burn than see it turn into what it already is, what it always was. America becoming awake, America becoming aware, is America becoming so scared of what she knows she is capable of doing to herself. Dream sweet, America. Dream deep. Breathe deeper. Now deeper. And sleep. Sleep. You were made from this. You were made for this. You were made by this. You are on fire. This is the next time. America is burning. Thank you.
That was A.D. Carson reading America is Burning.
Thank you all for coming out here. My name is Wes Gobar. I'm the president of the Black Student Alliance at UVA. Yesterday, I saw hundreds of people with torches walking around my grounds, threatening my friends who live in the lawn. And I'm just reminded that this is really the ugliest face of white supremacy, but this is what black people have been facing for a long time. Whether that's from slavery to building this university to lynchings to Sage Smith to Martise Johnson in the corner, this is the culmination of white supremacy in America. But why have they come here today? Why is the alt-right here? Because Charlottesville decided to stand up and tell the truth. We decided because all of you, because community members came out and pressured City Council, because we moved those statues. We decided to move those statues because we decided to provide resources to, which we can do more, certainly, to community members, black community members in Charlottesville. I'm glad that the last speaker mentioned James Baldwin. He once said that not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Yeah. And that is what all of you are doing right now. Once we start to confront our history, once we start to bring justice, then these people will come, and they will continue to come. But if all of you are out here, stand to defend our community, to stand up and say, no, this will not happen in Charlottesville, then I have a feeling that we'll be all right. Change will only come if we all, again, every single one of you comes out again. We can't just have people come out on August 12th, and then these big events. But Black Lives Matter Charlottesville will be having things. Tomorrow, there will be more action required from all of you. So right now, I ask that you sign up for, we have a listserv for the Black Student Alliance, and we'll specifically mark out what community events are coming. So that's bsa@uva@gmail.com. And I also know that white supremacists have not only walked through these grounds of flames, but they tried to leave flyers and physical markers. So we'd ask that people can come out and through grounds and just make sure that there's nothing around and remove them. We'll do our best to make sure that students are out here fighting this fight as well.
Could you give that email address again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
BSA@uva@gmail.com. And just walking around here today, I've really been encouraged seeing people, so many people in the community. They'll walk up and say hi, they will raise a fist, they will say, be safe. And that, I think, has been the most encouraging thing I see. Not that 100 people from the outside have come through and tried to intimidate people of color, tried to send a message. But the stronger message, the message that will last beyond that, was all of you coming here today. So thank you again, and please continue to come out. Please continue to tell the truth. Please continue to stand up for justice. We need you. So thank you.
That was the BSA President, Wes Gobar. We see an outpouring of support from UVA students, young people, young and old, clergymen,
Good morning,
and women.
everybody. My name's Aaron Frazier, and I just want to thank everybody, of course, for coming, and Walt for letting me waffle on whether or not I was actually going to say anything this morning. But listening to the other speakers and walking around this morning and seeing everybody out has been extraordinarily inspiring. And so, earlier this week I went to go see the new movie that's out in theaters called Detroit. And so as to not give away too many spoilers, the main premise is that it's going over this horrifically violent scene that happens during the uprisings in Detroit in the late 1960s. After I saw the movie, I went home and I talked to my mother because she lost a flip-flop as a little girl running from the west side to the east side during those riots. But I knew I was coming down to Charlottesville today, and I knew that I probably, hopefully, God willing, would not lose a shoe, but I wore lace-ups just in case. But at the end of the day, for me, having just graduated from UVA in May, I just feel like this is all very monotonous. So in my time at UVA, I was the political action chair and then the president of the Black Student Alliance. And it seemed like every week, every few weeks, you're waking up and somebody is dead and dead and dead. And somebody is not guilty and not guilty and not guilty. And there's another rally and another rally and another rally and another march and a protest and a t-shirt. and a hashtag, and it just never seems to end. And so I thought to myself, what's one more rally, right? Why not? And so we get down here, and we see these men and women with torches who really feel like something has been taken from them. Just snatched. As if this brother in the front who's representing the chains by which my people were brought here wasn't the one who had something taken from him. As if that wasn't the injustice that was done, that we're still trying to fix centuries later. And so I thought again about the monotony, the regularity. And I thought about how I myself have become so desensitized. Because again, it's just a rally, it's just a hashtag, it's just a protest. It's a t-shirt, and it's important that you be there, but nothing seems to come after the but, ever. Where is the change? And I hope so, right? I hope it's coming. But I think that a large part of this whole thing is that why so many people in Charlottesville and around the country are paying attention today to what's going on here is because the Klan doesn't just rally every day. They certainly don't just put on hoods and descend in the thousands and in the hundreds every day, every weekend, every month. That's not monotonous. That's irregular. And I think it's important that we all recognize the irregularity of that, but then we have to consider what it is we do consider to be the norm. So I think that's when we have to think about the way in which it is regular, it is normal that people live in substandard housing. The ways in which it is normal that people don't make enough money even though they work 40 hours a week so that they can raise their families. It's normal that that black parents and brown parents talk to their kids about the ways in which they interact from the police, and it's normal that that's different than the way that white parents talk to their children. There seems to be some monotony, some fluidity, some schedule with which these sorts of bad events happen and people come together and we are enraged. But what I really want to leave everybody with today is this idea that we can't just be enraged for a day. We can't just be enraged by the bad things that feel irregular and not enraged by the bad things that go on every day right next to us, by the people that we ignore on the streets who are asking for $1, by the people that we ignore because when we know that their schools don't have adequate textbooks or computers and that their teachers are underpaid and undervalued. So what I want to leave us with today is not that this is irregular. We know it. Everybody who's been up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning in the middle of August knows it. 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Some folks didn't sleep. So we know that this is irregular, but I want us to decide today to find all of those inequities to be out of the norm. They should not be what our default is in a country that was founded on ideals of equality and justice. And I hope that is the fight that we'll fight every day. Not just when the Klansmen finally put on their robes, but when their policies and practices go into action to affect the lives of people every day who we live with, who we go to church with, who we live in community with. Because that's where the real change is going to come. Otherwise, we'll be back again soon. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Renee Jenkins. I came all the way from New York City to be here. And I'm with the organization called refusefascism.org. And we are here because we are here to stand up against what's happening in the city. And we're here to also bring you a message. And the message is that in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. so, you know, on our way up here, we were marching, and like I had several conversations with people, and there were, you know, some people were like, oh, I don't want to talk about the president, right? But I think it's important to make the connection between why we're here trying to face off the KKK and these other white supremacist groups and the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And so we are identifying Trump and Pence and their entire regime as fascist, and they need to be stood up against. And part of fascism is pushing forward a xenophobic nationalist agenda and whipping up a social base. And these white supremacist groups are the social base, and it's not a coincidence that they're having unite the right. They're uniting to do what? And so that's what we need to think about. This is directly related to the president and the lynch mob atmosphere that he has whipped up in this country, and it is not okay. And you know, the young woman that had just spoke, she said that this is irregular, and she is right, because we've never dealt with fascism in this country before. And although fascism hasn't consolidated in this country, there's a trajectory here, and that's the direction we're going. Between, you know, Trump's speech in Brentwood, telling police to be more brutal than normal, as if they aren't killing black and brown people every single day. You know, this idea of he has his own state news station, you know, just demonizing Muslims and immigrants and black and Latinos and women and the LGBTQ people and the environment. I mean, these are all part of his fascist agenda, and that's why we're out here to say no. We're saying no to attacks on women, no to attacks on the LGBTQ community, no to attacks on refugees and Muslims, no to attacks on the environment, and in the name of humanity, we must refuse to accept this. So I'm just going to quickly read you the pledge of Refuse Fascism. So we pledge to organize and resist so that beginning on November 4th. So November 4th, Refuse Fascism is calling. It's a nationwide organization. We have chapters in Philly, in Boston, in Atlanta, in LA, in the Bay Area, and in New York City and other cities that I'm probably leaving out. And so we're organizing massive political protests beginning on November 4th at aims of driving out this fascist regime. Yesterday, I don't recall the reverend who spoke, but she said we need to cut off the head. That was her main message, cut off the head. And so this is our beginning. This is when we're going to say we're cutting off that head. This must stop. And so we pledge to organize and resist so that beginning on November 4th, we will, together with many thousands of others, be in the streets and public squares in cities and towns across the country, day after day and night after night, growing until we're hundreds of thousands and soon millions, declaring that this regime is immoral, illegitimate, and that we will not stop until this nightmare is ended. The Trump-Pence regime must be removed from power. We pledge that we will not normalize, accommodate, or conciliate with a regime that demonizes and targets groups after group while step by step stripping away our basic rights. We pledge to act knowingly that only the power of the people fighting together for a world fit for humanity can stop the nightmare of this fascist regime. We pledge to speak, shout, and act with determination, inspiring others to join us. There is a way out of this madness, and we, the millions who refuse to accept this nightmare, are the way out. We pledge that our actions will reflect the values and the world we want, in stark contrast to the hate and bigotry of the Trump-Pence fascist regime. We pledge to act with conviction and courage, overcoming fear and uncertainty, to act so that the whole world knows that in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. And we pledge that beginning on November 4th, we will join together and not stop until this Nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. And so I leave you with this. On November 4th, it's going to begin. And the woman that spoke before was right. We cannot keep coming out every time something is happening saying, it's righteous, but it's not sufficient. And if these people remain in power, we're going to have to keep coming out, and they're just going to push their agenda, stripping our rights, and eventually the window of opportunity is going to close, and we won't be able to congregate like this. We won't even be able to talk about certain things, right? Like, this is fascism. This is what we're facing, and it needs to be dealt with. We need to cut off the head. And November 4th, with peaceful, massive political protests, similar to what they did in North Korea, or South Korea, similar to what they did in Tahrir Square. That's what we're calling for, peaceful political protests, coming out and demanding that this must stop. The Trump-Pence regime must go. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you.
There you hear it, the support for nonviolent action against fascism and white supremacy.
My sincere thanks to both of the sisters that just spoke. I have to tell you that the
Dawn gathers.
the arc of morality bends towards us. And I've got good news for you. I've read the book that the Lord left for us, that the Lord gave to us, and in the end, we win. That's the beauty of what we're doing here today. In the end, we actually do win. I'm going to ask Brother Glenn to come up now with the Movers and Shakers organization out of New York. Not sure what he's going to say, but I promise that you will absolutely love the optics.
Good morning, everyone. I can't hear you. I said good morning, everyone. That's a little better. Okay, so my name is Glenn Kantav. Refuse Fascism graciously was able to come down to bring me down here to Charlottesville, and I'm just here to share a few words. The first thing that I want to make very clear is that there's a very special energy in this city, a very, very special energy. And the reason why I say that is because although the hatred on the other side of town is what's going to get the headlines today and all over the world, what I saw last night is something that I've never seen in my life. I went to a church service last night headed by people like Dr. Cornel West, and for the first time in my life, I saw a completely open and inclusive environment in a religious institution. So for that, you should give yourselves a round of applause. For the first time in my life, I saw an environment that showed actual unconditional love, that was regardless of race or sexual orientation or religion. It didn't matter the God that you prayed to. What mattered is that if you were marginalized in some way, that your life matters. It was the absolute opposite of what you see with the Westboro Baptist Church, and for that, you deserve a round of applause for that. That's special. That's special. Now, we're all here for the same reason, that is to combat white supremacy. We're here for something that is much larger than just one simple statue, and we all know that. And the bottom line is, when you have a society where you have groups of people come out in torches in defense of a statue, when my brothers and sisters are shot down daily, what does that mean? Where's the humanity? Where is the love? That is the real question. And so what I come to share is the mission of Movers and Shakers. So we are a coalition that uses virtual reality, augmented reality, and the creative arts to execute direct action and advocacy campaigns for marginalized communities. And so what we're looking to do is we're looking to do something similar to what you are doing in our city. We're looking to remove a statue of someone who represents white supremacy, but of a different age, of Christopher Columbus. And Christopher Columbus came and he committed a genocide. And it's the same thing, it's the same ideas that Robert E. Lee had. The general ideas and the general framework of white supremacy comes with profit first, humanity second. It's the reason why I'm standing here in chains to represent my brothers and sisters in the past and those who are falsely incarcerated today as well. Because mass incarceration is white supremacy in a different form. And so in New York, we have the endorsement of Jumaane Williams. He's the deputy leader of our city council. And on September 30th, we'll be hosting a slave auction to commemorate the lives that were lost in the past. I'm referring to the 80 to 100 million indigenous lives that you never hear of that were destroyed as a result of white supremacy. I'm referring to my ancestors, for which I don't really know my real last name. My government last name is Cantab, but that was a French landowner's last name. That is another reason why I'm in these metaphysical chains, because white supremacy has erased my family history. It has erased the family history of my brothers, of my sisters. And the bottom line is, it's being manifested in a different form. So what we are going to host the slave auction and the die-in for is to A, commemorate the lives that were lost, and B, to take a stand against these institutions of mass incarceration that are manifesting slavery in a different form. So if you can come out on September 30th, I know there is a distance, but either show us some support or follow us on Facebook. We are Movers and Shakers NYC. Once again, it is Movers and Shakers NYC on Facebook. Our Instagram is coming soon as well. But the bottom line is, thank you to the allies, the white allies who are here. It means something special to me when I see white people saying that white supremacy has to go. It takes a certain amount of humility and consciousness and open-mindedness to understand the struggle and the metaphysical chains that are around myself and my brothers and sisters. And I thank you for that.
We're not allies, we're freedom fighters. We are in chains also. We are freedom fighters for our own freedom.
We can talk about that after. But, yeah. So with that, the last word I just want to leave you is do not stop, because it doesn't end here. It doesn't end with the removal of one statue. It ends with the removal of the institution of white supremacy, with the mindset of hatred, and with perpetuating an accurate narrative of love, of perseverance, and fighting until this is all over. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Okay, hey everyone, my name is Devin Willis. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, hey everyone, my name is Devin Willis. I am here representing myself today. I'm the secretary for the Black Student Alliance at UVA. I am also on the steering committee for the People's Action for Racial Justice that we are now all a part of. And I just have a few quick things to say. So the first is I want to thank Walter Heineke for getting the permits and making this happen. So relieved that someone had the sense to do that. So yeah, big round of applause to Walt. And I want to thank the people of Charlottesville for showing up today and for showing up yesterday and hopefully showing up in the fall and tomorrow and all the tomorrows. And I want to tell everyone that they look great. I think that these posters and these signs and these shirts need to continue being worn all year round. And this doesn't stop today. And the two things that I really want to say is that real change, in my opinion, happens from bottom to top. And it is more important when it's not, politicians telling you about racial justice. It's you out here showing up with your own bodies. And I think that America has some really nasty racial issues, but I think that these faces that I see in the crowd today are a testament to the fact that America is dealing with them and that there are people who are willing to do this work. And that makes me so happy for the future, and it makes me so relieved. Last night, myself and some incredibly brave students of all colors defended the Jefferson statue outside of the rotunda. And we had to defend that statue of Thomas Jefferson from those who wish to rewrite history, the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, and the future to support a false narrative of white supremacy. Is this being a problem, this mic? Okay. They are trying to rewrite history to support a false narrative of white supremacy. And what I think is amazing is that there were white bodies between myself, taking punches for me, taking pepper spray for me, and defending my body and the bodies of my friends and people that I care about when we were violently driven off the crowning statue of my university, and I do mean mine, because this school, this town, and this country were built on the backs of slaves, and they might have been my forefathers. And that's the truth, and that's the truth that we're all here to come and make sure everyone knows. And so, when you are called upon, it is important to show up, and I want to thank everyone and all the allies who are here, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because it just makes it easier, I think, to carry on. And last thing I'm going to do is make a plug. So myself and some more students are going to be at the bridge. That's 209 Monticello Road, the Bridge Progressive Initiative. And we are going to be leading a march from the bridge at 10:30. And we would love it if anyone wanted to come out and roll with us. Thank you guys so much.
We have one more official speaker who will come up next. I wanted to let you know that for those of you who are part of the faith gathering and the march, we will be proceeding on to the First United Methodist Church shortly. We will give directions about that. We cannot go down Jefferson Street, so be sure you follow the leaders in order to get into the back of the Methodist Church. For those of you who are Christians or who follow progressive Christianity, one of the preeminent voices in that movement over the past, I don't know, over a decade, I don't know how long he's been writing. Brian McLaren has been a stellar voice for a Christianity that has not been hijacked by hate or exclusion, but that proclaims a message of love for all God's people. So we are very grateful that he joined us in Charlottesville for this weekend. So I'd like to introduce for some brief remarks Mr. Brian McLaren.
I wonder if all of you would just, if you're physically able, put your hands over your heart for a second and just think about what it would mean for your heart to be totally full of love. So full of love that that love is pumped out through your arteries, out into every cell, out to your fingertips, out to the bottoms of the soles of your feet. Some of you unfortunate enough to have hair up to the top of your hair, but the rest of us just to your head. And then to imagine your face being so full of love that it became radiant with love. Can I just tell you, I see it on your faces now. You know, we've got a lot of clergy here. And one of the things that the fact that we're here today is an indictment of is that for the last several hundred years, the dominant religion in America, Christianity, has failed to teach white people how to love. And one of the great things about having bishops and priests and pastors and clergy and rabbis and imams and others here as well is that we can rededicate our faith communities to say every week when we bring people together, we're going to help them fill up with love again. We're going to help them remember what it feels like to have your heart and your mind filled with love. To be filled with the Spirit is to be filled with love. You know, it's so interesting. Everybody talks about sin. And really, one of the best definitions of sin, we've had a religion that made people feel guilty about a lot of things, but it never made them feel concerned about racism. And one of the things we have to rediscover is an understanding of sin, that sin is the violation of love. The violation of love for your neighbor, the violation of love for the stranger, the alien, the outsider, the immigrant, the disabled, the different, the religiously different, the racially different. That love is, it calls us into a great beloved community, and to violate love of your neighbor, that's what sin is, that's what evil is. And then to think love for yourself. One of the tragedies of white supremacy is what it does to white people. It makes them mean, it makes them small. As they reduce the humanity of others, their own humanity is reduced, and what is so tragic is they're the last to know it. And so for all of us today as we march, as we encounter people who are in the other marches, may our hearts be filled with love. Love that overflows. Love for our neighbor, which includes the stranger, the alien, the outcast, even the enemy. Love for ourselves, that we want ourselves to be filled with love, the best, most loving version of ourselves that we can be. Love for this beautiful earth. Because you know, when people have supremacy over other people, they exploit people, they also exploit the earth. And just as we're reaching a red zone of economic inequality and of white supremacy, we're in a red zone of what we're doing to the planet. It all comes back to love. My personal belief is that the way you encounter the love of God is through love of neighbor, love of self, and love of the earth. And when you experience those things, you experience the love of God. So look around at all the clergy present and give them some encouragement, because they can, from today forward, work as never before to make every Sunday, every Saturday, every Friday they meet, to make that a time when people learn to open their hearts to love, to practice the mindset of love, so that we can create a beloved community. Here's the irony. The guys who are marching today, they think people are trying to replace them or displace them. What we're actually trying to do is invite them into a beloved community. Amen.
All right. Is this a day when you all are scared of racism? No. Are you afraid of the racists today? No. All right. Good. When there are those who would destroy life, they must be met and challenged with courage. And that's what we're here to do today. And I appreciate y'all coming out, building this bulwark of courage to stop the flow of fear. And thank you all for being part of it. My name is Nathan Moore. I'm with Together CVille, one of the co-sponsors of this event. And this is People's Park today. It is a respite for you all day long. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the things coming up today, but also one thing real quick. There are some hard costs that were part of this. If you would like to make a donation to the expenses that came with the space, please do so. We can accept credit cards up here at the table, and of course cash is also accepted. So that would be wonderful if you're able to chip in a few bucks. But I want to also turn over now to Grace, who's going to talk about what's happening at 10 o'clock.
Thanks, y'all. Hi, I'm Grace. I'm with Papatistas contra el Fascismo. We are a street theater performance group, and we're going to be doing performances here throughout the day. We have giant puppets. It's crowd participation involved. And our first performance is going to start at 10. I know some of you guys are going to head off somewhere else. But if you're not heading out, then stick around for puppets. And it's not creepy puppets. They're like cool protest puppets, y'all. Thank you. And we'll be here doing various things throughout the day. Thanks.
Thank you, Grace. And thank you all once again for being here. At around 11 o'clock, John Dirth and Bonnie Gordon from UVA's music department and musicians, they're going to come play some music, live music. I'm going to play some Nina Simone as the day goes on, and some reggae as the day happens later on after that. Here and Justice Park are both open all day for you all and folks like you who are of goodwill. For respite, for music, a medic station at both here and Justice Park, as well as refueling stations. We've got water, we've got granola bars. Like I said, donations are welcome. CCPJ, the Charlottesville Center for Peace and Justice, let's move this away here, a little feedback issue, has these little flyers in case you need a quick handy guide of reference for things you should and shouldn't do in a day like today. I got a few of these stickers if you want a Together CVille sticker. Also, August 13th, so what happens tomorrow? What are the actions that we take from this today? How do we take this energy and carry it forward to work for racial justice, for social justice, for economic justice, for a better society and a better world rooted in empathy, justice, and equity? There are flyers on the table. Well, where's that table? The table's over here, I believe. Grab those flyers. There's a bunch of great action items. I would like to put in a plug for sure for the Together CVille potluck. We're doing it at the Ix Art Park tomorrow, 5:30 to 7. We'll do a debrief, and people will talk, sort of debrief about today. So that's tomorrow, 5:30, Ix Art Park, Together CVille's debrief potluck, and then we figure out next steps from there. That's my main shtick. Stick around here if you like to. Also, Justice Park has things going on. There's a meditation session happening right now, Quaker meeting later. Like Devin mentioned, students are marching there at around 10:30. There'll be an anti-racism teach-in at 11:30 over at Justice Park, and then also speakers and music throughout the day. It's going to be a big day, folks. Thank you for being a part of it. And last thing.
All right, for those of you who are going to move on to the First United Methodist Church, I'm going to make my way around here to the corner with Don Gathers, and we will wait there until enough of you are behind us, and then we will proceed in a slow walk to the Methodist Church. And while I'm going there, I'm going to ask my brother from Richmond if he would give us a dismissal.
Good afternoon. My name is David Curtis. I'm with St. John's Episcopal Church in Richmond, Virginia. One of the duties of the deacon is to send people forth into the world after they have heard the word and after they have been fed at the table of God. Louder? Okay. So one of my jobs is to send people into the world after they've been fed at the altar of God and after they have heard the word. So having heard the words today, having been fed at this altar in the world, I say to you, my brothers and sisters, go in peace to love and to serve God. Thanks be to God.
As you can see, Charlottesville is coming out in unity to fight against white supremacy, and do so through a coalition of different organizations and different individuals from all walks of life. So you can really see and feel the outpouring of love and support from everyone, really, against the